Well, this is going to be interesting. This story starts about 3,000 miles away and about 30 years ago. I grew up in a small town in Jamaica. It's called Mandeville. Alright, somebody from Mandeville here? Alright, close enough, close enough. I grew up in a small town, and I grew up in a very close-knit and very loving family. Family of teachers and engineers. And, I really love the environment that I grew up in because I always knew as a little child growing up that, life and the pursuit of things that you cannot obtain easily are important. The harder the mission is, the more important is it to pursue it. Like I said, educators and engineers. Anyway, my father is an amazing person. I love him to death. And the very first time that I realized that there was an inheritance due to me was when he would come back from Jamaica, come back to Jamaica from the States. And he loved music, as I love music. And he would bring back cassette tapes. I don't know if the young people there can really relate to cassette tapes. They come before CDs, but after 8 tracks. You can record on them, and he would come back with Maxell, Golden, like the high-end cassette tapes. And, I would ask him to bring back cassette tapes on me as well, and he'd bring me back the little D90s, which were like the low end. And I would record music, and he would record music. And I would play my music. Like I would record the tapes off of the radio, and listen to my dancehall music religiously, my reggae music religiously. And he would do the same, but he would kind of record stuff off of the radio, and he would just put it in boxes and label them meticulously and put them in the closet. And he would put them in the closet and put them in the closet and put them in the closet. And I would use mine. And I would run out of the small store of D90s that he would give me. And, I would go into his closet and see that he had, dozens and dozens of these high-end tapes that he would record on. And I was like, well, you're not using them, so I'm going to borrow a couple. So I borrowed a couple and, recorded my music, and it came out well until he came across my Golden Maxells and was like, yo, where you get this from? And I was like, well, it's good music. And he said, oh, well, where you get it from? I said, well, I got it from the closet, Daddy. And he said, well, you can't take these cassettes. These are my personal cassettes. But I'm like, Dad, you don't use them. I'm using them, I'm making good use of them. And he got very mad. I couldn't understand it. Flash forward a year or two, and I was talking to my grandmother, his mother, that I also grew up with. And she would make amazing cakes, like triple-decker cakes with, hard icing, fruit cakes with sugar pearls, and just amazing works of art. And every time it was time for me to get some cake, she would always say, make sure that you leave some. And I'm saying, okay, so I'll put a slice of the cake and I'll eat some cake. And as you can tell, I'm a guy that kind of loves my cake. But, I would eat this cake, and she would always say, when you take a piece of the cake, always make sure that you leave some. And I'm like, Grandma, this cake is barely standing up on its own. The slice is like this thick. You really want me to cut half and leave it? So I'd fold it on this side and cut it this way and cut it that way. It was always something to leave. The point of this is that I didn't realize until I was a little bit older that there was a thread running through my family that's slightly OCD. We really tried to hold on to, the things that are important. Flash forward a couple years, actually to about a year ago, I'm dealing with this girl, and, we're going through it, and, we're getting ready for round 2, and she pulls open my drawer, because we're right beside my bed, and, her face kind of lit up like, it's like when Samuel Jackson opened up the briefcase in Pulp Fiction. The gold just flashed out on her, and she was like, oh, what's going on here? There's a lot of condoms in here. And then she was like, well, what's this? And apparently there were a lot of the large side BJ cartons that these condoms had come in. And for some reason, I would save these. And I had like a dozen of these carton boxes left in there. And I realized, oh my God, you know, there's a bit of this that from my family with me as well. You know, I even had a section of, well, I'm not going to get into all of that, but outside of, you know, those little aspects of my family that I've taken along, I realized that I've been very detail-oriented, almost anally compulsive, so slightly OCD. But at the same time, I realized that if you don't focus on the details, you know, you lose track of the things that are important in life. That's my story. Thank you very much.